I've got a Poecilotheria rufilata egg sac to pull today, and I know she is not going to be happy. Wish me luck. Hello Tarantula lovers, I'm Alex and welcome back to Tarantula Haven. Today is the day that I am pulling my Poecilotheria rufilata's egg sac, and I'm a little bit nervous about it because she is not a friendly girl. She has pounced at me before when I've tried to tongue feed her. She has tried to come out and grab my hand when I've tried to trim some leaves and things inside of her enclosure, and she has even slapped at me through the glass whenever I walk by the enclosure. So those are things that I've seen her do before. She's pretty chill most of the time, but she's pretty high strung. So I have to be real careful with her whenever I deal with anything inside of her enclosure. She is very food aggressive. So that's another thing too. Any kind of disturbance, and she usually comes out investigating. Today marks day 33. I usually pull it at day 30, but I let it go a little bit longer because I had some other things going on and I did not get the chance to pull it exactly on day 30. And I kind of did forget about it. I realized that it was coming up close to the day, and when I looked it up, I realized I was over the day. So I don't normally wait until day 33 or longer because I had a little bit of bad luck before with my Poecilotheria regalis, and she ate her egg sac after 30 days. So I try not to keep them longer than that because I don't want to risk that happening. But I've checked on her and she's still holding it and it still looks pretty good. So hopefully things will be okay. So let's go ahead and get into it. Hopefully she will be a good girl and I'll be able to get it, but I'm prepared for a fight. So let's do this. That went much better than I expected. She didn't really come out and try to attack me or anything like that. She just maintained a threat posture. It seemed like she was a little bit tangled up behind her own webbing, and that might have given her a little bit of a sense of security. So she just stayed behind there and maintained that threat posture. Couple of things that do concern me. One, she was not holding on to her egg sac. She just left it down there on the bottom, which they don't normally do that. They usually will hold on to it in their fangs and with their pedipalps, and it's usually a little bit of a battle to get it away from them. So that's a little bit concerning to me that she had just discarded it and was threatening me. The other thing that concerns me is it seemed like it was a little bit dry behind that cork bark. And I have been maintaining humidity up in that enclosure. Usually before I pair them, I will bring the humidity up to simulate a rainy season, but then I also maintain more humidity in the enclosure than usual just because I don't want want those eggs to dry out. So it seemed like it was a little bit dry back there, and I have been maintaining humidity. I keep the plants in there to kind of help me gauge how I'm doing with my humidity, but I usually will spray all around, but I tend not to spray into her hide so that I don't wet and damage the eggs in any way. So everything might be completely fine, but it is concerning that things were dry and the fact that she wasn't holding on to her egg sac. So those two things got me a little bit concerned. So let's find out if this egg sac is good. Yes, the egg sac was good. It looked like every single one of them was good. I looked inside and I could not see a single bad egg. They all looked like perfect little pearls with legs. They are in the eggs with legs stage right now, and it looked like I got 100% good egg sac. So what am I going to do with them right now? They go into the incubator and they'll stay in there until they reach second instar. At first instar, they will develop they'll shed out or they'll molt out of their first instar stage, and they'll start looking more like little spiders. And they'll still be pale. They will not have much hair on them until they reach the second instar. When they get to second instar, they will look like tiny tarantulas, and that's when they're ready for sale, because that's when they start eating. So I usually will feed them first to make sure that they're all eating and they're all active and lively and everything, and then I will sort them out. So where do they go from there? Well, half of that egg sac is going to go to Amanda and Travis Beasley of Beasley Exotics, and they're the ones that provided me the male, so that's why they're getting half of that egg sac. And the rest I'm free to do with what I want. I usually will hold back a few just to continue my breeding stock, but I usually will sell the rest of them off to local vendors, and I have a few in mind that will probably buy them up pretty quick. So now seems like the perfect time to address a couple of questions that I usually get about breeding tarantulas. One is, why do you pull the egg sac? I get that question all the time. And the thing is pretty much two reasons. One is convenience. Convenience because if you allow the egg sac to develop inside of the enclosure and the babies emerge on their own, then you have to worry about retrieving all those babies from inside of that enclosure, and you have to rehouse mom, gather up all those little tarantulas and make sure that you don't miss any, which is pretty hard when you're dealing with all the stuff that's inside the enclosure. They can hide very easily. So you want to make sure that you get every single one of them out of there. And then of course you have to put them in their own little pots and everything, and then put mom back in. So all of that is just a major hassle. So some of that reason is to avoid any kind of inconvenience like that. The biggest reason is to ensure the survivability of the egg sac. Now, most of the time, or I would say a lot of the time, mom will hold on to that egg sac and guard it, and the babies will develop just fine, and then they'll emerge just fine. But every now and then you risk the possibility of mom eating the egg sac. Mom doesn't eat the entire time that she's guarding that egg sac. So when she made that egg sac, I had to fatten her up before she made it, but when she made that egg sac, that's it. She's not eating. So she spent over a month without eating, and then of course she gets hungrier and hungrier. You saw how small her abdomen was there. So they may reach a point where they get so hungry that they'll eat their own egg sac, and that's not good for anybody. So that's to make sure that she doesn't do that. And of course, now my job is to fatten her back up and get her back to good health so that she's ready to breed again if I want to, or just so that she's not so scrawny anymore. The other question I get asked a lot is, what do I do with all the babies? Well, it depends on the situation. I kind of addressed this already. In this case, I was loaned the male, so the people that loan me the male will get half of the egg sac because we had an agreement. And it's on the honor system. I give them half the egg sac. And of course, I'm going to be honorable about it, because if you're honorable about it, then of course they trust you, and then they're more willing to send you males your way if the situation comes up again. And they start knowing what my stock is, and they'll say, hey, somebody has this male, are you wanting to use them to breed? And I'll say yes, and then we can make more babies that way. So that's a really cool way to keep this going in the hobby. You got people that breed and you got people that sell, and everybody works together, and it's a win-win situation for everybody. And of course, I keep my holdbacks to continue my breeding stock. The other situation would be if I had acquired the male on my own. Say I purchased the male from someone, or I had a male mature out and I was able to pair it with one of my females, then I'm pretty much able to do with whatever I want with those spiderlings. I'm not a vendor. I don't have a license to sell or anything like that, and that's not something that I really want to pursue, because that's a whole lot of hassle that I really don't want to get into with shipping and overhead and all that other stuff that goes along with it. So I prefer to sell them off to some local vendors. I have a few contacts that I keep and I trust, and I talk to them and I say, hey, this is what I have. Are you wanting to buy them? And I sell them at wholesale prices, and then they turn around and sell them at retail prices. And it's a win-win situation for both of us. I make a little bit of money to keep my hobby going, and they, of course, continue with their business. So, that works out well for everybody. But that's a case where you have to be careful what you breed, because if it is something something that people want and it's in demand, then it's going to sell very quickly and very easily. But if you have something that is extremely common and a lot of people have a lot of them, then they're not going to want to buy them from you. So then you're going to be stuck with a whole bunch of babies, and let's say they're Lasiodora parahibana, they have babies in the thousands. So what are you going to do with them then? So that's where I mentioned before in one of my videos, you should breed responsibly. Know what you're breeding, know what people have, and know what is in demand and what is, plentiful out there. And there are times when things that are usually plentiful are not. So if they're not, then that's a good time to go ahead and plan on breeding so that you can return them back into the hobby and get some more stock going. But, things kind of come and go, they ebb and flow. So you have to kind of be aware of what's in the market. So that pretty much wraps up this video. I'll keep you posted on how the spiderlings are doing in a future video, and half of these spiderlings are going to Beasley Exotic. So if you would like to purchase some of them in the near future when they reach second instar, you can do so at beasleyexotics.com. And if you use the discount code THAVEN10, you can get 10% off your order. They've got lots of cool species, including some very rare ones, and they have lots and lots of isopods to choose from as well. So definitely check out beasleyexotics.com. Thank you so much to my Patreon supporters. I really appreciate your support. And if you would like to become a patron yourself, there's a link down below in the description, as well as all the others. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a like. If you want to see more, subscribe. If you want to support this channel, I have a Teespring store where I sell Tarantula Haven merchandise. Until next time, keep loving them tarantulas.